there. So today we have another super exciting topic, and no further ado, let's just dive in. So today we're going to talk about camera angles for phone. So this one might be a little bit similar to the topic that you have with the DSLR camera, but again with phone you have to think about what kind of lens do you use. So here we're going to dive deep into the basics, and then we're going to have something to cover about the phone as well, like just some little details that I would highly recommend you to know before you start shooting with your phone. So usually in general in food photography or photography is that usually the best viewpoint is not the first place you look, but you need to find the best angle, because that's your chance to be creative and start experimenting. So here again, like sometimes, especially with food, for example, you sit behind the table, you see the food, okay, awesome. But then again, like if you change your angles, then you can create something super amazing and super different. And then the viewpoint is completely different and interesting for the viewer who watches the photo as well, because usually they don't see the food on that angle. So that's why I would highly recommend that to start moving around and don't get lazy here. So for example, this is like a little bit classic, maybe Instagram cliche, but it's super popular angle because it works. It works because usually you don't see food from the bird's eye view unless you stand or something like that. But again, like if you gather the whole table, then this one can be completely different viewpoint, because usually you sit behind the table and then you see like a different angle. But it is popular because it just works and it's eye-catching. So so change the perspective and try not to be lazy and start moving around. Go down on your knees or even start climbing for better viewpoints. So the basic food photography angles. First of all, this is the most common one, is 45-degree angle. And this is again like commonly used with the DSLR camera, especially when you have a macro lens. And then you're shooting like this. And if you're close enough, you don't see the horizon line. But again, you can try this one with phone as well. However, the difference here is that usually phone cameras, what they have is that they have 28mm lens. Like some cameras nowadays, they have like this one, the wide angle, and then the usual lens. But again, like this is not the macro lens. Like you have some options for phone as well, but in general, this the problem here is that the lens might start like acting a little bit weird, and some quite often it like basically it's going to change the shape of food sometimes, even just because of the lens. And then that's why like the 45-degree angle is most commonly used for the DSLR cameras, especially when you have a macro lens, and then you can go closer. The food is not gonna change its shape basically. But again, like definitely you can use it, you can play around with this one, because sometimes when you go closer to the subject or a little bit more far, then you can find like that it's not gonna like make the food in a weird angle. And again, like this kind of 45-degree angle is that horizon, you can't see the horizon line, or like you can't see the surface in general because you're shooting from here. So with the phone, you're shooting like this, basically on this angle, not like this, not like this, not like this, but like basically like 45 degrees. The next super popular angle in food photography is 30-degree angle. And this one is slightly lower than the 45-degree, a little bit lower. But again, here you can see the horizon line on the background, and you can easily show the texture of the meal. And again, like here is another example. You can see the horizon line here, back here, and it's more like 30-degree angle. And now this one for phone photography is the most popular one. This is the overhead shot, and as well known as the most classic Instagram cliche. And it is again like super popular for phone because the phone lens in general is quite often built for this one. It's 28mm, usually with phones, like depends on the phone obviously, but quite often basically phone cameras are 28 mils. And then with this one, you can have like a different viewpoint that human eyes don't usually see. For example, you can gather the whole table. That looks like super, super awesome. And some food even looks better on the overhead shots. For example, if there's something in the bowl, like smoothie bowls, like nowadays they make like some beautiful art on top of the smoothies or on top of the salads. So there you can definitely complement the food when you're shooting overhead shots. So for example, here, like again, like if, for example, if I have, if I would have shot like these kind of figs from the 45 degree, then yeah, I would not see like this kind of figs texture that well. Like obviously I would see it a little bit, but here I feel like the overhead shots complements the food. And again, this is phone photography. And another one here is a phone photography as well. So this is basically aftermath of Italian lunch. And in Italy, they always have the scarpetta. So basically, there are like no leftovers whatsoever. They take some bread, they scrape it off from the pan. And again, like this one tells the story. And the story is best, I would say, is told when it's like overhead shot, like here, because here you can see the pan, you can see the story, you can see some bread, you can see what's happening, the whole mess in the kitchen and there on the kitchen table, on the dinner table, sorry, and everything. So again, like definitely think about what kind of angle basically complements the food. And now another angle that is super popular for food photography is 90-degree angle. And this one is basically straight on shot. You have your phone, you're shooting straight on, and then, yeah, your subject is here. So here, this one is super, super popular because of layers, obviously. Especially when you're shooting sandwiches, burgers, pancake stacks, dessert jars, like wherever you see the layers. I would highly recommend you to use the straight on shot because this one complements the food and brings the best out of the food that you're trying to shoot. So, recap. So let's breathe a little bit and think about it a little bit, what we just learned. And most importantly, play around with different angles. Just keep on moving, like keep on moving around, because sometimes you see something with the eye, unless your eyes are like sometimes super, super trained. And the other thing is like when you take your camera, you move around, round, and then you find something super, super exciting angle. And then obviously like always think about what kind of angle is going to complement the food, because in the end of the day, the food is your model and you want to bring the best out of them to make it look like super, super delicious. And then again, it might be a cliche, but it is a cliche because it works. And this is the overhead shot, especially for phone, because phone usually have 28 millimeters. So the lens is not going to make that much weird like shapes and everything. So that's why overhead shots, like definitely use them. And keep on moving and make sure you flatter the food. So again, so when shooting with food, then again, the angle have to flatter the food. I'm sorry if I'm repeating this one and if I'm becoming a little bit annoying, but this is something that even I sometimes forget. And I was like, okay, I have to do this to make it work and to make it look even better. And there you have it. Thank you for watching. I hope this was useful and we will see you in the next one. Bye.